이 모든 건 우연이 아니야. 그냥 나의
Hello children, today I will be telling you a BTS bedtime story. I know you little shits are staying up all night on your phones doing something BTS related. Well, this dope story will calm your heart down and make you less Jungkook. That way hopefully you'll get some rest and be ready to stand BTS the next day. Now let's get on with the story. Once upon a time there was a boy named Jungkook. He lived in a village called Busan with his 6 brothers, Seokjin, Yoongi, Hoseok, Namjoon, Jimin and Taehyung. Jungkook was the youngest of the 7 at only 11 years old, and he thought he was the shit. He could sing, rap, dance, and do a handstand. He was so strong that his muscles bulged when he drank a bottle of water. He could carry misbehaving cows who were running wild back into the pen. He could even spin the playground spinny thing that weighed a lot of pounds. He had all the components of being the perfect golden Maknae, which was the treasured prize of the poor small village, and they frequently used Jungkook to brag to the other villagers about how much better they were. One day, the boys saw their Uni Park Ji-yoon, who was the village sweetheart, but secretly she was a spy from another village here to prove Jungkook's weakness. She ate a magical jelly bean that made her 100 times heavier. Then she waited until the boys walked by and said, "Hey Bangtan, want to come here and do push-ups while I sit on your backs?" The boys were weirded out, but they didn't think much of it and went over. She was the village sweetheart. That didn't mean she wasn't a little kooky. "Jungkook, how about you do push-ups first?" Park Ji-yoon suggested. Jungkook was really nervous, but in order to uphold the village pride and honor, and his duty as the invincible golden Maknae, he got onto the ground in a push-up position. Park Ji-yoon sat on his back with a hidden evil smile. Haha, this little fucker won't know what hit him. And as Jungkook went into that push-up with the weight of 100 Park Ji-yoon sitting on him, he felt something break inside him and his poor coconut head slammed down onto the floor. The boys gasped. Jungkook had failed at carrying a girl. Keep in mind this is set in the medieval times and girls were thought to be weaker than men. But still, shame on you Bangtan, even though this bitch just ate a magical jelly bean. Park Ji-yeon smiled. "Okay, never mind, I am going to go pick some flowers in the woods and never come back," she said as she skipped off into the path leading to the next village. The boys shrugged. Their uni was a weird one, but they were more concerned for Jungkook, whose muscles seemed to shrink by the second. "Are you okay Jungkook?" Jimin gasped. "By the way, none of you better be shipping Jikook right now because they are blood brothers, okay?" Anyways, ever since that day, the village's reputation began to spiral downhill. By the end of the season, no one would trade any cows with them. The boys missed Bulgulji. They were tired of having to eat so many stupid chickens. "Well, that escalated quickly," said Namjoon. "Oh really? You think?" said Yoongi. The 6 boys watched as Jungkook began to train to gain back his strength. He trained night and day. There was not a single second he spent not moving around, picking things up, running around. Frankly, he was getting on everyone's nerves, especially Jimin, who Jungkook liked to pick up and slap his butt because he thought the Djibouti was fun to play with, as well as Taehyung, who Jungkook secretly liked to hug but was too shy to ask, so he just picked him up and threw him a lot.
내 피땀 눈물 내 마지막 춤을 다 가져가 내 피땀 눈물 내 차가운 숨을 다 가져가 내 피땀 눈물 눈물도 내 몸, 마음, 영혼도 너의 것인 걸 잘 알고 있어. 이건 나를 벌받게 할 줄. Peaches and cream, sweeter than sweet. Chocolate cheeks and chocolate wings. But 너의 날개는 악마의 걸. 너의 그 sweet 앞엔 비려비려. Kiss me, 아파도 돼. 어서 날 조여줘. 더 이상 아플 수도 없게. Baby, 취해도 돼. 이제 널 들이켜. 목깊이, 널 risky. 내 피땀 눈물 내 마지막 춤을 눈빛 땀 눈물 내 차가운 숨을 다 가져가
After a whole montage of training, Jungkook was ready to up the stakes. His brother Jin heard of a wrestling competition from afternoon tea with all the mothers of the village. This competition was being held by the king, and the prize was unlimited bragging rights. Every village in the kingdom was invited to send their strongest men to participate. Keep in mind this kingdom is set in the medieval times and their king was a sexist piece of shit. Anyways, even though the village was pretty pissed off at Jungkook, they decided to give the boy a chance. The 7 brothers headed off towards the palace. On the way there, Jungkook felt his teenage hormones kick in and needed to punch something. Jungkook turned towards Taehyung. "OMG, get away from me," Taehyung screamed as he ran away in fear. Jungkook spotted a punching machine and decided to punch that instead. He made a new record and that gave him a lot of confidence to keep going. The boys soon arrived at the palace and Jungkook began to fight. He was actually doing pretty well, which half the boys were happy about and half were not, because before the games had started, they betted on Jungkook winning. Jimin, Namjoon, and Yoongi had betted on him winning. Taehyung, Seokjin and Hoseok were not so sure, but now they were regretting their unloyal asses. That's what happens when you let yourself be bias-wrecked. I mean when you aren't loyal to people. It was now the final round. Could Jungkook kick his ass and take away the victory? Yes, Jungkook did it. He gained back the bragging rights his town lost because of him and saved the day. But too bad he didn't save those cows, ha ha ha. If you didn't get the joke, then I have some beef with you, ha ha ha. Finally the peace was restored. The only thing Jungkook needed to do now was apologize to Taehyung because Hoseok told him Taehyung did not particularly enjoy being thrown. They made up and took a nice long nap together after the journey. Wink wink. Now Jungkook gets his pubescent feelings out another way, by throwing Jimin instead. The end. I hope you enjoyed that bedtime story. If you don't go to sleep after this, I will personally come find you and make sure you are unconscious, and I don't care how I do it, if you know what I mean, lol. Also, this was kind of dedicated to my bias Jimin for saying he can't sleep and then being on the fan cafe at like 1. Well, here you go, Jimin. A story about your bias to get you the fuck to bed. Good night.